In this video, we make the journey to the summit of Mount Scott, which is mostly known for being the highest point of Crater Lake. This journey begins at a large crater in southern Oregon. Not that big dark green one. That's nothing. Stop looking at it. Anyways, Crater Lake is Oregon's only national park. You would think I've done a video there, but no, anti-dog rules and large crowds usually keep me away. The caldera is a remnant of an ancient volcano called Mount Mazama. Our destination today is Mount Scott, which is its own volcano next to the lake. Sometime in October, I decided I needed to get on top of a mountain. To me, the experience and feeling of going up a mountain is like nothing else. So I headed out very early in the morning to avoid the crowds and get back to my family as early as possible. No one else was at the trailhead. It was very cold, dark, and windy. The initial weather was a bit uninviting, as it even rained a little bit at the start. I tend to want nothing to do with mountains in the rain, as that can be uncomfortable and dangerous. The summit is on the easier side, and the forecast showed that it would only lightly rain for a little bit. While the mountain is only a hike rather than a climb, it still is an 8,900-foot mountain, which provides that mountain experience I was looking for. But the trailhead starts at 7,600 feet, meaning you only gain just over 1,000 feet of elevation. The 2-mile trail starts pointed directly at the mountain, then goes right around another peak. After that, it zigzags up some elevation gain. After a bit of hiking and elevation gain, the first views show up. The top of Mount Scott can be seen, which has an old fire lookout tower. One big peak can be seen to the south, which is Mount McLaughlin. Crater Lake photobombed most of my shots on this day. Most of the time, it's hard to get a shot of the whole lake. Starting your summit early has many benefits, like less crowds and getting down before it gets too hot or too dark. The special colors and calmness of a sunrise are also worth the extra effort of waking up early. A few switchbacks are the final stretch of elevation gain. I would say the hike up is pretty easy, but difficulty depends on who you ask. After the switchbacks, the path begins to open up. Like most mountaintops, there's some exposure danger to be careful of. Higher elevation brings less trees, more wind, and bigger drop-offs on the side of the trail. With lots of danger and hard work required, mountains are very uninviting to many people. But to me, that's all part of the experience that I enjoy so much. The challenges are no worse than other activities after good preparation. Once near the top, a straight path leads to the highest point marked by a fire lookout. While approaching a clear summit, an incoming cloud drastically changed that. The cloud quickly passed, and the mountain was perfectly visible again. As the mountain climber nears the top, they are usually ready to be relieved as the hardest part is almost over. Being an easier mountain, it was more of a carefree experience for me. But minus the adrenaline of danger, it was a day on the mountain, and that was exactly what I wanted. The fire lookout is closed off to the public, but there's plenty of space to enjoy the summit. The lookout and mountain get their name from Levi Scott, a pioneer of the 1800s and founder of Scottsburg. Original native names also exist, Tumsumnee or Walmsini, depending on who you ask. I usually stay away from Crater Lake because I prefer nature over people. But on this experience, I didn't see a single person until I was almost back to the trailhead. As always, a mountain summit provided good vibes and great views. Looking north was a nice view of Thielsen with Diamond Peak in the background. Thielsen had a huge fire this year, hard to notice from far away, and most of it was over the hill on the left. A smaller mountain to the north is Bailey, which also has an easier summit. A trip up Mount Scott is not complete without views of Crater Lake. Wizard Island is one of many cinder cones of this larger volcano. There's actually another similar cone underwater called Miriam Cone. The best view is of Crater Lake. Usually it's hard to get a picture of the whole lake, but Mount Scott is a nice high vantage point. Not all mountain adventures need to push our limits. This one gave exactly the good feelings and mountain experience I was looking for.